Okay, we're looking at question 1, which basically just asks us to identify the conclusion of the argument. Normally, you'll always see conclusions in the first sentence, and that's because I believe that the LSAT's a lot just like regular conversation. I hate this guy because he's a jerk, he stole my girlfriend, he makes more money than me. Well, the conclusion was in the first sentence, okay? The kind of the irony that you should always be watching out for is that generally when you're asked a conclusion, you're asked to identify a conclusion. It doesn't really ever happen in the first sentence. So just things to be mindful of. And at the end of the day, what is this argument talking about? We've got a mayor that, people say, look, this guy does things just to benefit the wealthy. And that's kind of the inside argument, right? But the outside argument is somebody coming in and saying, well, that's not right. And he gives an example. He says, this altruistic mayor lowered the high property taxes, which just led to increased development, which we conclude, or, which we say has helped, all of these, everybody, not just the wealthy. And so at the end of the day, all we're really saying is, look, this guy does more than benefit the wealthy. And that's the conclusion of the argument. The example, it's not really, we could come up with a number of different examples. This is just the example we chose. This example is just to show that the policies in place by the mayor do more than benefit just the wealthy. All right, so if we look through the answer choices, the first one, it's asking us to compare whose interests this mayor is more affiliated with, poor or rich. We're not even getting at that in the stimulus. We're not comparing who he's more supportive of. We're just talking about, in any way can we see that he supports non-wealthy, all right? And this example shows that. So again, we're not talking about relative support or who he's more aligned with that. So it's not relevant to it's not even relevant to the argument, okay? Another thing, always remember that in vast majority of answers, they're going to be true in some way or another. They're just not going to be the conclusion. They might be an assumption, or they might be a premise. A was kind of a rare situation where it really doesn't have anything to do with the argument, okay? B, McKinney's policies have often been criticized for benefiting only wealthy city residents. Well, that's the inside argument, right? And we're actually going against that inside argument and saying that's not true. So that is true as far as that is what people say, but if you look at this argument, it's going against that. So it is not the conclusion to the argument, okay? C, the decrease in property taxes that McKinney supported caused more development to take place in the city. Well, yeah, I mean, so this is kind of like the, I guess if anything, it's like the sub-conclusion, right? But the real conclusion is that it's just not only for the wealthy, but this is true. This policy did create more development for all. I think what might help you to identify is like identifying the inside argument that he only supports the wealthy and understanding that all we're doing is saying that that's not true. So the outside argument is just saying that's not true. The way that the outside argument validates itself is by coming up with this little sub-argument or example. So that C is totally true, but it's a sub-conclusion of the argument. It's not the main conclusion, okay? And I want to be clear, there is only one real conclusion to this argument, and it's this, all right? We have, if we're talking about a sub-conclusion, it's more like a premise, right? A sub-conclusion is built to support the real conclusion. So don't be mistaken or led into the idea that there's more than one conclusion here. There's always only one conclusion. The conclusion is the thing that everything else supports, okay? The reason this is here is to establish this, okay? And that makes this the conclusion, okay? Okay, and then D, the criticism that McKinney's policies benefit only the wealthy is unjustified. Absolutely. That is what we're attacking with the inside argument. That is the correct answer to the question. And then E, McKinney's effort helped end the housing shortage and stabilize rents to the city, all right, or in the city. Well, okay, that's true, right? I mean, that's what we're told in the stimulus or in the argument. But why were we told that? It's to bolster the idea that this was not only to benefit the wealthy, it benefited everybody else. So it was made to help refute what the inside argument was. And by the way we refute the inside argument ultimately is we're just showing that there was a benefit for not only just the wealthy. Okay? Thanks.